And King Charles, it's always difficult. Like, I think many people can relate to this. If you have a sibling causing trouble in the family, I think the siblings are the first ones to want to do tough love, and the parent is the last one who wants to do the tough love because we're all softies for our kids. So King Charles still can be manipulated by Harry, and certainly the promise of spending time with his grandchildren, of whom he doesn't have that many. He only has 2 sons.
King Charles finally did it. He opened the door. He let them in. Harry, Meghan, Archie, and Lilibet, all of them, were welcomed to Highgrove House for a family reunion that the Sussex camp had been pushing for months to make happen. And on the surface, it looks like a win for Harry and Meghan. It looks like a crack in the palace wall. It looks like the beginning of a reconciliation. But look a little closer. Because what actually happened at Highgrove this weekend is not the story Harry and Meghan want you to believe it is. And the people who know this family best, the reporters who have covered them for years, the insiders who understand how the palace thinks, are telling a very different story.
So Meghan desperately needs to remind the world that she is associated with royalty. Her deals have really dried up, and she didn't get any of those deals because of
That is the reality that nobody in the Sussex camp wants to say out loud. Before Meghan married Harry, she was a mid-level actress on a cable legal drama. Suits was a fine show. But it was not a show that generates $100 million deals. The Royal Connection did that. The title did that. The wedding at Windsor Castle, watched by hundreds of millions of people around the world, did that. And now that the deals have dried up, now that Netflix has cooled, now that Spotify is gone, now that Hollywood has quietly moved on, Meghan has figured something out. The one thing that makes her interesting, the one asset that no amount of jam or podcast or lifestyle brand can replace, is that she married into the British royal family. Running away from that was not just a human mistake. It was a catastrophic brand strategy. So the visit to Highgrove was not about healing. It was not about reconciliation. It was not about a wife wanting her husband to have a relationship with his father. According to insiders close to the situation, it was about one thing: a photograph.
Desperately wanted a photograph. We know the world we live in. We know the world of social media. We want to see a picture of the king, of Meghan, of the children, of Harry, of everybody smiling.
Think about what that photograph would have been worth. A single image, King Charles, Harry, Meghan, Archie, and Lilibet, all together, all smiling, would have reset the Sussex narrative overnight. It would have confirmed to the world that they are still connected to the monarchy. That the Royal Association is still real. That the brand is still alive. That photograph would have been worth more to Meghan's commercial interests than anything she has done in the last 2 years. More than the Netflix documentary. More than the jam. More than the As Ever lifestyle brand. Because it would have been the king's seal of approval. A signal to every Hollywood studio, every streaming platform, every brand partner, these two still matter. The palace still accepts them. The palace understood exactly what was being asked for. And they said no. No official photographer. No statement afterward about how wonderful it was to see everyone. No images of them arriving or leaving. Nothing. They were invited to Highgrove, a private royal residence, not an official palace, not Clarence House, not Buckingham Palace. They had tea. They made small talk. And they left. As one insider put it, if the palace had wanted to send a message of genuine reconciliation to the world, they would have had a BBC camera crew there. They would have put out a warm statement. They would have released a family photograph. They did none of those things. Because this was not a reconciliation. This was a grandfather who wanted to see his grandchildren.
Had any meaningful contact with these grandchildren since they were born?
No.
I mean,
no.
These two have had them shepherded away in Montecito, where they're spending lots of time with, who's the guy, Tyler?
And that is the part of this story that is genuinely sad. Not the politics. Not the brand strategy. Not the Sussex commercial calculations. The part that is genuinely heartbreaking is this: King Charles has grandchildren he has never really known. Archie and Lilibet have grown up in California. They know Montecito. They know Tyler Perry. They know Oprah's fruit garden. But their grandfather, the King of England, is essentially a stranger to them. They have Skyped. There have been phone calls. But that is not a relationship. That is not what any grandfather wants with his grandchildren. And Harry knows this. Harry has known his father his entire life. He knows every button to press. He knows exactly how much Charles aches to have a relationship with those two children. He knows that a sick man, a man fighting cancer, a man who does not know how much time he has left, will find it almost impossible to say no to the promise of time with his grandchildren. That is the core of it. Two people coming at the same meeting from completely different directions and neither of them being honest about where they actually stand. Charles wants to be a grandfather. He wants peace with his son. He wants the family to be whole again. He is a decent man, softer than perhaps a king should be, more emotional than the institution he leads, but a genuinely decent human being who loves his family. Harry and Meghan want something else entirely. They want the professional relationship. They want the royal association without the royal responsibility. They want the commercial value of being connected to the crown without having to actually serve the crown. They want the photograph without the commitment. The stardust without the work. And so they will keep coming back. Harry has already confirmed he is returning to the UK in September. Another reunion is reportedly not being ruled out. The palace source quoted this week said it best, every journey of 1,000 miles begins with one footstep. But here is the question that royal insiders are quietly asking. Where is Harry actually walking to? And what does he plan to do when he gets there? Because the pattern is clear now. Every visit follows the same script. The drama builds for weeks. The security demands. The leaked documents. The will they won't they headlines. And then the visit happens quietly, with no photographs, no statements, no real change in the underlying situation. And then Harry goes back to California. And a few months later, the cycle starts again. Meanwhile, there is a man with cancer sitting in a beautiful house in Gloucestershire who just spent an hour and a half making small talk with a daughter-in-law who, according to people who have reported on her for years, had no interest in being there for family reasons at all. And whose own father, Thomas Markle, a man who has publicly begged for contact with his daughter and his grandchildren, has never been granted the same access that Charles was asked to provide on demand. Thomas Markle does not wear a crown. And so he does not get the phone call. That tells you everything you need to know about what this visit was really about. It was not about family. It was not about healing. It was not about two people who had hurt each other finding a way back. It was business. Dressed up in the language of reconciliation. Wrapped in the emotion of grandchildren and cancer and lost time. But underneath all of it, business. The palace held the line. No photograph. No statement. No seal of approval. Charles got to see his grandchildren. And Meghan went home without the one thing she came for. For now, the palace won this round. But Harry is coming back in September. And the question is whether Charles, decent, soft, unable to resist the pull of his own family, will hold that line again. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think King Charles is being played? Or is he smarter than everyone gives him credit for? Subscribe for daily royal